Today we're going into part 2 of our story. Tessa and I's travels to California, staying at some Airbnbs and having some adventures along the way. Take a seat, get comfy, grab a drink if you want, and stay tuned. So as you remember, me and Tessa, we are traveling over spring break to California to visit some places, some national parks. Last we left off with our heroes. That was us, me and Tessa. We are the heroes of the story. We were in Bakersville. I still can't remember what it was called. 1 second. We were in Bakersfield, and we stayed one night there. We had a run-in with the cops almost the night before. Okay, not really, but I was worried. I was genuinely worried. Anyway, when we wake up the next day, it's a great day. We have some breakfast and we hit the road because we are going to Sequoia National Park, where we see General Sherman, this huge tree, biggest tree in the world, maybe. Not talking height or width, but height and width combined. Like, he had some mass. This was a huge tree, and there were lots of fun things to see, and we had a good day there. The next night, we had planned to stay in Groveland, California, so that we could have some time in Yosemite National Park, because we had a parks pass and we wanted to reach all the parks as quick as possible. We love exploring the national parks. They're great. Would recommend. Anyway, I don't plan vacations very well. I love them, but I am grateful to have a wife who will plan them for me. So thank you, Tessa. You do great, and we have so much fun traveling. But as such, I knew nothing about Groveland. So I was sitting there thinking, we're going to this Airbnb in Groveland, probably like Bakersfield, this fun little California city, not huge, not small, but just a normal town, right? So I'm driving for hours and hours, and again, it's like dusk is upon us as we're getting closer to it. So we're driving into the night now. Tessa dozes off, here and there. She's just resting in the passenger seat. She, feed me chips and crackers along the way to keep me fueled up, keeping this Ford fueled. Anyway, so she's quiet over there in the passenger seat. It is getting dark, and I am driving down this quiet country road, like trees, like maybe I'm going into Fangone Forest. Who's to say? The only thing I'm passing is the shadows of trees that as they fly by, as I fly by them. And you could literally imagine Sasquatch crossing the road at any time. Legit, like this is where the area we were in. It was no man's land. And I'm like, so when do we get to the city again, right? Oh, where are we going? Like, needless to say, I was trying to be brave. I didn't know where I was going, but I was like, we'll get there. We'll get there. It's cool. It's cool. We know where we're going. I mean, Google knows where we're going at least. I hope Google knows where we're going, because I do not know. Moral of the story, it was weird and I didn't know where we were going. I've said that already, but you can imagine the feeling, right? Okay, that feeling. That's where we're going for now. I wake up Tessa. I'm like, I think we're getting close. Will you check the map for me? Just to make sure. We're on track. We're doing good. We go up into the mountains, and Groveland turns out to be what is basically this city in the mountains. Like, it's just right outside of the national park, right? So I guess it makes sense that it's middle of the nowhere mountain city, but I wasn't prepared for that. Bear in mind, it's dark, right? So we are trying to find where we're going, and I didn't have data, but I had screenshots from Tessa's phone of the directions we were supposed to take. So I'm keeping my eyes out for this name of a street, pass right by it, and I go another 20 minutes off into the woods, up the mountains. We were using our odometer to measure the distance because it said in 0.5 miles, turn right. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have gone plenty over what I should have gone to turn right. And now it's almost midnight. And so I'm like, okay, I'm turning around. So now we're looking for this street sign, but we're going to be turning left. Pass it again. We were lost and it was dark. That was the problem. It was dark. It was hard to see street signs or to know if we had passed 2 turns, because sometimes it'll be like a second left. And so we didn't know if we actually passed a turn or if that was just a dirt road that shouldn't exist, but goes somewhere anyway. So we end up pulling into this kind of like a little hotel. The manager desk was in this little building, mobile home thing, and I'm thinking, okay, let's just ask her if she knows where the street is. If not, ask her to use her Wi-Fi so that we can get Google Maps to be working properly, because again, we were having some issues with Google Maps. So I knock on the door, and as she's coming, turns on her light, puts on her nightgown, she's coming around, and I see on the door posted is the Wi-Fi password, so I didn't have to wake her up to get that. My bad. So she trying to recover from that mistake. When she opens the door. I'm like, okay, yeah, we were the whole time, not the password, because it's right there. But we're wondering, do you know where the street is? We are just lost. Can you please help us out? Sorry to wake you up. Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be close by though. You can use our Wi-Fi if you would like. And she went back to bed. It was a short conversation. I don't blame her. We got the Wi-Fi working, and so it was like, okay, so that's where the place is. We got to go there, and that's not too far. Well, it turns out the street I was looking for was actually a private community, like the name of the gated community. So I had been going right past it, like, we can't turn on that street. That's private property. Well, that's because that's where we were going. Our Airbnb was in this private area. I just didn't know that. Okay, so we get there, we pull up, and we were able, there's a little security guy. We're able to get in. So we drive in. I miss a turn again in there. I have to drive around a little bit to finally find the house. We found our Airbnb. It turns out to be a log cabin in the middle of the mountains. Great. We can go to sleep. It's almost midnight. Wrong. Problem was, we didn't know the passcode to the door. I was thinking, hey, it'll be a key under the mat like the other one, right? No, it had a passcode. She hadn't received the check-in instructions yet, and didn't have very good cell service. We didn't have the proper check-in instructions before we get to that spotty service area. We couldn't call her, didn't have service. We go back to the gated community entrance, talk to the security guy. He's like, you guys are back already? And we're like, yes, we are. Do you have a phone number for the person that lives at this house? Here's the address. He's like, maybe, but I don't know if this phone number is the house you're going to stay at or is her personal cell phone. So we'll give it a go. I'm like, please, give it a go. I have nothing to lose here. Oh, I don't know if he was awake, but he did get a hold of her. It was her phone number. So she was somewhere else. Fortunately, it was her phone number, and she gave us the password. Finally, we have check instructions. She was apologetic, like, sorry that I didn't get this to you earlier. Anyway, we get back to the house. We have the check-in instructions, and you're thinking, great, nothing can go wrong now. They found the place. They know how to get in. Sweet dreams from here on out. I wish that was the case. So now we put in the code, and it doesn't work. Try and open the door. It's not budging. So now what? Is it the wrong passcode? Do we just not know how to work this high-tech door open thing? Which turned out to be the case. But rest assured, as we were trying to figure this out, try to open this door, I was like ready to go to sleep on the lawn. We had gotten to the Airbnb, but couldn't get inside, and that was okay with me because it was a long day. I think it was Tessa who finally figured it out. You had to push the code and then push enter. No, I can't remember how we did it. Okay, so you put in the code and you try to open the door, that doesn't work. You had to put in the code and then turn the lock, the deadbolt. Not 100% sure, but it was a confusing mechanism. But Tessa figured it out. Finally, we were inside that Airbnb. Yes! It's probably 1 o'clock now. And you know what? No one else was there. It was supposed to be a shared house. Like, we had the loft and some shared common areas, but there was actually no one there. So we had the whole house to ourselves. Turned out nice. Didn't really matter though. We didn't stay there very long, and in fact, we didn't even put the sheets on the bed. We just like grabbed a blanket and a pillow and just like fell asleep right there. Like, it was a long night, and we were ready to sleep. So, moral of the story is, make sure you have the check-in instructions and proper directions to your Airbnb. And you do all those things, it can be a fun trip. And if you wait, before we go, that's not all. When we were first finding that it was this gated community we had to turn into, before we actually found it, Tessa's like, Google Maps says turn here. This is the turn. We finally found it. I'm like, okay. Wait, no, Tessa, that's not a turn. Let me slow down. She was telling me to turn to what clearly looked like just rocks and then kind of some, I don't know, it was dark actually. I couldn't see, but I'm like, Tessa, that's not the turn. She's like, yeah, it is. It says turn right here. So I'm like, okay. I was willing to try because at this point I was at a loss. But no, it was not. We off-road in it over these rocks and like, something tells me that wasn't the turn, right? She's like, yeah, that probably wasn't the turn. Yeah, let's go back. Anyway, so turn the car around, get back on the road, went just a little bit further, and that's where the turn was, into this gated community, right? Which wasn't what we were expecting, which is why I was more willing to turn onto the dirt, off the road, into the rocks, because I'm looking for a road, not a gated community. But it was an adventure. Finally, we found it, and we did have a great time. We saw the national parks. Later, we went and visited Grandma and Grandpa. I went to San Francisco. So it was a great trip overall, but the Airbnb experiences were a tricky one. But we learned some stuff, and I have data on my phone now, so I'm prepared. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Traveling is fun, so I highly recommend it when you get the chance. That's the story. And please, remember to smile. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you would like to see more of my content, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss them. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And as always, I love to hear you down in the comments. What did you think of my story, or do you have any fun stories of yourself? Anyway, please have a good day, and I will see you next time.